This is IGN. The sequel takes another flawed but unique and remarkable bite at the jugular. This is your IGN review of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 by Leanna Hafer. Much like the thought of becoming an actual vampire, there are some things I really like about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, and some I don't really care for. Developer The Chinese Room has undeniably done a remarkable job breaking out of its typically slow-paced and linear realm to give us a streetlight-soaked, open-world Seattle that's enjoyable to explore, with a side of positively exquisite writing and voice acting. But combat never rises much above the level of being merely pretty good, and a lack of payoff for both mechanical and story choices hold this nocturnal sojourn back from greatness. The slice of Seattle that serves as a hub for Bloodlines 2's searching, stalking, and politicking is impressive to behold, though don't expect GTA scale here. At around 5x5 blocks, with most buildings climbable and rooftops fully navigable, there's quite a bit more room to prowl than in Bloodlines 1's Santa Monica, with several distinct and memorable areas from the charming Pioneer Square to the lantern-lit Chinatown. Moving around it by clambering, leaping, and gliding is some of the most fun I had. The key component of Vampire the Masquerade lore that is almost completely missing outside of one cutscene that happens no matter what you do is the Beast, the dark and ravenous voice inside each vampire that drives them to do terrible things and can provoke an uncontrollable state called frenzy. The absolute best mechanic in the 5th edition of the Vampire the Masquerade tabletop game, upon which Bloodlines 2 is based, is an increasing hunger track that makes your character more likely to behave in a monstrous or unpredictable manner the longer they've gone without feeding. I get that people don't usually like losing control of their character, but this is so crucial to the vampire fantasy that its absence is an almost fatal flaw. It's the one choice that really consistently made me feel like I was playing some generic vampire game, not a Vampire the Masquerade game. At least the combat is challenging, pulse-pounding, and overall pretty decent. It can get a little disorienting, and I really wish there was more of a hard lock-on ability, given it's all in first person and both you and your opponents are constantly zipping around at high speeds, but there are some exciting nuances to master like the various kicks, parries, and telekinetic grabs. At least for a melee build, it could be really exhilarating once I got the hang of it. Stealth is satisfying and rewarding as well, though it's limited in certain segments like boss fights in a way that can come across as punishing you for deciding to focus on it. Some of the more esoteric fighting styles like Tremere blood sorcery are absolutely sick, nasty, amazing the first few times you pull them off. Boiling someone's blood from the inside is every bit as bombastically brutal as you'd imagine, but can come to seem like more of a gimmick than a playstyle after a while. Overall, though, the frantic and action-packed sequences that combine my abilities to use the environment, my movement powers, and even my enemies against each other were some of the high points of Bloodlines 2. Where it falls down the most, unfortunately, is as an RPG. You are playing as an elder vampire, so it's not exactly a typical zero-to-hero story, but just to give a representative example, the damage your melee attacks do at the very beginning is exactly the same as it will be in the final boss fight. You awaken new powers called disciplines, like being able to turn invisible or smooch an enemy to turn them to your side, but you'll get all of them for your chosen clan within the first 8 hours or so, after which point anything else is mostly a side grade. You can upgrade your health track by finding hidden symbols painted in blood across Seattle, but overall, there isn't much of a sense of power progression throughout most of the campaign. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodline 2's IGN score? 7 out of 10. Thanks for listening to IGN. My name is Tony Jackson, and for the latest Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 updates, visit us at IGN.com.
Spoken Layer.